Hello again, and welcome back to the Broken Past. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. We have two cameras actually set up today. We have the one here in the front that you're used to, and we have the one up there. It's a little bit loose when I hit the table, so hopefully that works out well. We're just going to try two camera sync and see how well that works to make a little bit more of an entertaining video rather than just having this guy feeding the whole time. So with that being said, today we have a new console with us. We have a DSi this time around. This guy really isn't in too bad a condition. Funny story about this guy, I actually ordered a lot of DS lights off of eBay, and the guy sent me all DS lights except this guy, which was a DSi. Not a huge deal. I really don't have a need for a DSi, but it's a fun project to work on. I've actually never worked on disassembling a DSi, so this will be a sort of a new one for me as well. So this will be a little bit less of a tutorial and more of just a follow along, I guess, to see how well this thing works. We can see should be able to see in the video that it's got quite a few scratches. Overall, it's not in terrible shape. The hinge itself works fine. It latches nicely. The digitizer is pretty scratched up. We're not going to worry about trying to replace that today. But what we do have is another problem on top of that, and that is that half of the screen on top it's not really dead. I mean, obviously it's dead right now, but if I try to push on the back, see if I can actually get it to do it this time. No, it's not going to do it the greatest. I've had it where if I give a push on the ribbon cables, maybe after it warms up a little bit, I can kind of start to see some video coming through there. Clearly the ribbon cable is somewhere in there, the connection's loose. So rather than trying to go ahead and fix that, I have two things we're going to do today. One is a new case swap. We should have a nice blue, as long as they sent me the right one, a nice blue case for this guy, and it is actually not blue. It's black. So either I ordered the wrong one or they sent me the wrong one. I'll have to go back and look, but that's okay. Black, blue, it doesn't matter. It'll be a nice swap. And we have a replacement top screen as well. So this guy should go quite nicely with the rest of it. So again, I've never actually replaced or repaired a DSi, so I followed instructions or read the instructions online. It doesn't seem like it's too much different. Obviously, we've got the addition of the ribbon cables for the multiple cameras and everything, but I think we'll give it a shot and see how well it works. And if not, hopefully with the two cameras, this will make for an entertaining video. So let's begin. As usual, we'll start out and remove our battery cover, which I believe is held in with some screw clips on the inside, so they shouldn't come out. Yep, and they are. So we'll start setting some of the pieces off to the side. Pull our battery out. Our battery is maybe a little puffy. It's not too bad though. We can see in here that there's no, let's see if we can see it on there. There's no water damage, at least on this sticker. So I think we're okay on that. And now comes the part, since I haven't done this before, of figuring out all of these screws that need to be removed. I'm actually going to grab this guy. So I'm not sure which of these are tri-wing and which ones are not. I suppose it would have been beneficial to have the instructions with me. Bear with me for a moment. So we have definitely Phillips there, a Phillips there. And These are all so grimy. It almost looks like these have been attempted to be repaired before. I believe they are all Phillips. Or it just might be this console's so kind of gross on the outside that it's practically impossible to see. So this one on the top is also supposed to be Phillips. I guess it is. And this guy is also Phillips. And 3 more. And lastly, we have the tiny one in the cartridge slot. So at this point, let's grab the spudger. And at this one, I know there's actually a connector that holds this base into place. So I'm going to be extra careful this time when pulling this out to make sure that I don't accidentally rip it in the process. Gosh, it just amazes me how grimy and gross these things can get. Wow, this one is really gross. So this one's going to have a little connector right there. It's going to connect. Looks like it just maybe connects the battery and the shoulder buttons right into this guy. So we can really see how gross the inside of this guy is. Got some corrosion there. Got some bent, actually got some bent pins on, not necessarily bent pins, but the shield is really, really loose. I guess overall, if it doesn't read in the end, not a huge deal, since I do have a DS Lite, or a DSi that I bought at one point. Alright, so now we have the battery here. I don't know. This guy just pulls out. Oh, he just kind of clips in from the top. Okay. this guy. I don't know which way that's supposed to come out. So we'll start with these 5 screws. So then the connector is, sure enough, on the bottom side. Wow, if that isn't at all difficult to try to get out. And now we're really starting to see some of the griminess on some of these buttons. So a lot of this is most definitely going to be cleaned. We have our power button and our power button cover. I'm not sure if we'll use that power button if it comes in the case. We have our D-pad, which we will not be reusing. Our Wi-Fi board here. Appears to just kind of wiggle out. Along with this guy. And now we have 4 more Phillips screws to remove out of here. And we have a number of additional connectors. And here we've got another especially grimy connector. Hopefully this will come out fairly clean. This is, I believe this is the connector for, there we go, the cameras up on top. And then this guy should flip over. Oh, I forgot a connector. And we have the display. All right. And lastly, we have what all do we have? We've got our button pads, which again are gross. And let's get out our buttons that we're not going to use. And our display, just like the DS Lite, should just push straight out of here with, I guess, a real faint amount of double-sided tape there. Actually, let's just slide this back here. Oops. Just lost one of the buttons here. Again, we don't need it. And these are run right in this nice track all the way across. Now the shoulder button here, I don't know how to remove this guy. I'm guessing he might come last. I'm clearly missing I want to get that out of there. That's okay. We'll get to that in a bit. Okay. Well, it's okay. We'll continue anyway. So at this point, we have our usual 4 plastic covers. I'm not going to care if I damage these since this will be replaced anyway. There we go. My instructions that I've got up don't detail a lot of the minor parts, like how to remove the front once we've gotten the screws off. If it's like the DS, this should hinge downward, but as you can tell, I could be doing it wrong. Or it's just super gummed up. All right, I need to keep looking here. Okay, well, let's try it again. It looks like the back just kind of maybe just comes right off. Let's grab our spudger. Yeah, it was slid partway down. Okay. Okay. So we've got a couple of things at this point. This video is definitely much less polished than the others, because I'm not entirely sure how some of these are supposed to come out of here. So that's just apparently stickied in there. Assuming this whole thing just kind of comes out normally. So I am clearly confused here. So we pushed the hinge in so we can pivot this guy a little bit. We actually fed all of that through. I would prefer if the ring stayed in to the top. But it's not going to cooperate. Because then that makes this part much easier to simply fish through here. And again, the display cable is broken. That's fine. It's the camera cable that I would like to make sure doesn't get damaged in the process. Oh, huh. And I've been fighting with this thing being connected this whole time. Completely unaware that this actually just comes right off. Easy. Easy once you realize. Which means feed those guys through there and get rid of that. Now we're down to the last couple pieces to fully disassemble. You'll see that the ribbon cable, or the antenna cables and speaker cables, are very similar to the DS Lite. That it's run along a track up here on the top. Actually, it's run outside the track between these plastic wedges. So, and then out the hinge. microphone cable. Comes out. Also feeds through there. And now we have our hinge, which looks like, there we go, comes out that way. And now the last couple hard pieces here. So we have a much thicker piece of plastic here. Before, I would cut that. I'm thinking I'd like to not do that today, if I can. Just since I don't have any spare cases, it'd be nice to keep this case. Just on the off chance I want to, or I need to use it down the road. So I do know that DS Lite is much, or DSi, is much more difficult since we now have two cables that need to be fed through this ring. So it is a much, much tighter twist. Get those out. But we did it. All right. Great news. Now, that will also need to go through here. Let's take a look at this and make sure we know which order everything sits on here. So we have the camera cable that sits on top. And clips right into there and is kind of attached to the back of this guy. So let's do our little that works. Wiggle. Although we're going to replace this screen, so it's probably not as big of a deal. There's always plenty of extra adhesive stuck at the bottom, usually with these guys. So I was trying to make sure that we don't have any surprise snags here. And we also have this camera. We should. Okay, so he was stuck in there. Okay, so these are all kind of attached right here on this left side. So, as long as I can get this guy loosened up. The whole thing should just slide right on through. And goodness, and there's a plastic bit right in there. Oh goodness. I am not a fan of how tight this guy is. hopefully that's okay. Hopefully, if not, well, it made a good video. So, okay, well, with that, we have part 1 almost complete. Now, as I said, I'm going to swap screens completely. And to do that, I'm going to have to resolder the speakers on here and also move the cameras onto the back of the new screen. So I will go ahead and do that off screen, and at the same time I'm going to clean up this, which is corroded and really disgusting, and see if we can't maybe kind of salvage that in the meantime. So we'll stop here with part 1. Part 2 we'll start back. I'll have the screen swapped out with the new one, the speakers moved, and the ribbon cables ready to reconnect. So with that, thanks again for watching, and I will see you for part 2 here shortly. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.